All right, thanks, Ryan. And thanks for, inviting me. Now you're behind the pillar where I'm just hiding. Whoever is hiding from who, I don't know. I'm going to talk today about landing pages. And this is basically a version of a talk I did at WordCamp Norrköping, which was about a month ago. And people there really liked it, so I hope you'll like it as well. Everyone's basically creating some type of pages that need to convert and need to be really efficient. After all, that's why we create pages and why we build websites, because they're supposed to be effective. So it's actually worthwhile to spend a little time focusing on what makes them effective and how we can exploit human behavior to actually make our sites more effective. So I guarantee you this is going to be 0 lines of code and pretty much 0 development technical stuff, I hope. So who am I? My name is Erik Bernskiöld. I'm a web strategist, digital strategist, consultant, speaker, and entrepreneur. And I'm also an advisor at the incubator at the Frankfurt University. I run 2 companies based in Gothenburg. And I run 2 companies, one boutique digital agency focusing a bit on the holistic point of view. Everything from strategy, basically what I'm going to be talking about today, through business, digital media creation, development, education, and we have in-house competence to be able to be that digital agency. And then I fundamentally believe that this is not just supposed to benefit medium and big brands, which is why I also, ages ago, 10, 11 years ago, founded a WordPress agency at Flea Studios. We work exclusively with small to medium-sized businesses to try and benefit a bit from what we do for bigger clients and try to bring that down to sizable level and sizable budget for small businesses. I believe we can do that without actually having them spend much more money and using a bigger budget. So that's what I do daily when I'm not, just now it feels like all I am is on the road in another airplane or another city. But hey, that's part of life as well. So to get into the topic, websites themselves don't convert. We're not going to be talking about, oh, my website converts really well, because it doesn't. Websites themselves are a collection of pages, and pages convert. You can talk about a page being effective for a specific goal, but you can't really talk about the website as a whole unless it's a one-pager, in which case it's a page as well. Pages we can talk about. They have a specific goal. We can say that this is supposed to be doing this, and we can measure what that effect and how that conversion is. And to speak about pages, we need to understand what different type of pages a website can contain. And to start off with, let's talk about the About page. The About page may be one of the most visited pages. I think recently you saw statistics that this was the 2nd most visited page on the website. Why is that? It's fundamentally intuitive to say that people want to know where they've landed. Just think of it. You've come to a website, you have no idea who's behind it, and you want to know that you're not getting screwed. So you're going to ask yourself, all right, who's behind it? And you want to look at the About page. Now, what's the one thing that someone would like when they go to an About page? Why am I clicking on the About page? I'm not specifically clicking to see who works there, typically, or why this crazy goal that they were founded, You're not looking at the individual aspect of what's on the page. You're looking at a reason to trust this website and to trust this company. If we speak in a little bit of a company setting today, then we can assume that everything we're doing is about building some trust. Because if you go into a store on any street and it looks kind of shady, that doesn't build a trust for you to go in and buy something. And as it always is, the bigger the purchase, the harder the trust is to gain. So we're fully working on building trust, which means we're describing the company, we're describing why we're trustable, why people can trust us. We're trying to build a good feeling about the company as a whole. And then we got another type of common page, which is a product page. Now, don't just think about e-commerce for a minute here. Think about any type of page where we describe a product or a service or anything we like to sell. That means what we want to do here is just a little more. We can say, all right, we want to build trust to purchase, which means we want to build comfort in what I call the full offering. This is everything from this company is someone I can trust to this product is something that I could trust, which is really taking it one more step. Whereas an About page is typically just making someone trust your company, the product page needs to exhibit trust for the product and the company desirably at the same time. If we're supposed to do that, we need to actually step up our game and we have some things to work with. And of course, we have a lot of different pages on the website that can't just be captured by these two. The services page, which is essentially a product page, a contact page, which has a slightly different goal. But these two capture probably the most important aspects of why you're putting together a website. Now let me show you a little bit of video that gets into this. This was shown. I was at an event about the Internet of Things in London, organized by WPP last Thursday, and they showed this video that I had actually not seen before. It's from 2012, so I'm a bit ashamed of that. Just speaks to the importance of optimization and what we're doing when we optimize landing pages.
People bought olives also bought Chardonnay.
Oh, alright. 78% of people who view Chardonnay also bought What to Do When He's Not That Into You. Well, I'm just wanting to get some olives, so...
Why not buy all three?
Oh, yeah, because I don't really need them. It'll give you a total saving of 7 pence. I think I'll still pass, actually.
Just the wine then.
No, sorry. What? No. Excuse me, I'm not buying this wine.
You sure you want to remove that item from your basket?
Yes. Why not try something new? What, and buy something totally random that I've never shown any interest in? Wilson Cape Memorial mug? Yeah, okay, I'll take the mug. Obviously I'm joking, aren't I?
This is actually an ad by Google Analytics. They've done 2 more that are available online. It's fun, go watch it. Kind of speaks to, this one speaks specifically about sort of the process which we buy something online, which what's funny about this video to me is how incredibly accurate this is. And it kind of amazes me that we still build these, websites that function like this. And it really, we need to spin around and think, all right, this makes sense from a business point of view. All right, from a customer point of view, which is how we watch this video, it's nonsense, yet we still build these solutions. So let's think about purchasing decisions. As human beings, why do we decide to buy something? This is the fundamental aspect. When we create any sort of offering page online, we need to think, all right, why does a human being decide to buy something, and how do we do that? And this is purely psychological. So the first thing is, we're not in the market to sell a product. If I'm Apple, I'm not in the market to sell a MacBook Pro. I'm not in the market to sell that it has X amount of RAM memory, X gigabytes of hard drive storage. That's not the thing I'm selling. I'm selling a service and I'm selling an experience. Let's think about cars as an example, because I find this to be a great example of why we are not selling products and why car companies aren't selling cars, they're selling a service. Now, why do you buy a car? Do you buy a car because it has excellent steering, or because it has 150 horsepower, or because it has, a Bluetooth connected audio system that's excellent? Chances are you don't. You buy a car because you want to go from A to B comfortably. So what they're selling is transportation. How many car makers have this, realized that, oh, I'm selling transportation? They're beginning to. This is a fairly new field in economics to talk to, and by fairly new, I mean like 20 years. But the thing is, even the most hardcore car enthusiast does not buy a car because it has a 500 horsepower or because it does, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3 seconds. That's not why you buy the car. You buy the experience of being moved very quickly because that feels awesome. That's why you buy it. And that, in changing our view, it means we need to change the way we present a product, which is across the board. We need to make it less technical and more about the experience. And this has been ongoing for probably 5-6 years that we've been really talking about this way of selling products. So what we're doing on a product page or landing page is convincing visitors that your product is perfect. Now, I probably shouldn't say perfect, because good enough or not risky is probably a word that would be better. But we're trying to convince someone to say that, all right, the product that I'm viewing right now is going to meet my needs and it's going to be, perfect for me. So how do we do this? Well, we start by asking ourselves, what does the visitor want? Not what do I want to sell, but what does the visitor want? And to ask that question, we could really ask something, more in depth, which is, what motivates humans? Because that's really, when we're asking what the visitor wants, we really don't want to answer the question, oh, they want 500 gigabytes of RAM in their computer. No, they don't. They want something far more abstract. And it almost always boils down to psychology. And to answer this fancy question, we enter the field of behavioral economics, which happens to be my favorite field in economics. Now, as I said, this is a fairly new field. It gained traction about 20 years ago, which makes it new in economics. And basically what we're talking about in behavioral economics is we've realized that humans aren't always rational. We make irrational choices. What a fantastic revelation. You're thinking, I'm not always rational. Well, hey, a new field in economics has realized that this may be the case. Fantastic. But if you ever, wondered why do all products always have 3 packages that you can choose from? Present a small, medium, large. This field can answer that for you. And they've got some fantastic resources. I suggest anyone building a website should go and read a couple of books on behavioral economics, because they will explain to you how to present a product so that the customer will eventually choose something. We're going to be getting into that a little bit. So humans are predictably irrational. And the asterisk simply means this is not my word. I've stolen this phrase. This phrase is by a fantastic economist called Danny Ariely, who wrote a book called Predictably Irrational. What he's saying, and what I'm subscribing to as an idea, is that we're irrational to the point that we can actually predict our irrationality. We're irrational, to such a large extent in the same way every time that we can actually understand and make predictions on our rationality. That's kind of twisting it a bit, but hey, it's actually very true. And part of this is realizing that making decisions is really, really hard. How many of you like making decisions? Not a single hand. Half a hand. A finger. I get a finger. I'm not sure if that's liking it a lot. So some decisions might be fun to make, but eventually we have something called decision fatigue, when we have to make too many decisions in a day. To illustrate this, I'm bringing up the fabulous example of a restaurant. Right, so think about this. Now I'm going to stereotype a bit, saying think about this Italian, small, medium restaurant in the center of a city, and you get the menu, and you start looking. All right, pizzas, 10 different options. Pastas, 15 options. Or an Indian restaurant or a Thai restaurant with 50 different options. How many of you have ever been to such a restaurant with 50, 30 different options? Right, everyone. Did you find it really easy to choose what you wanted? Chances are you did. Chances are you ended up either picking the same one you always pick, because making it's just hard to make a decision, and we're afraid to make the wrong decision. This is something that humans are predisposed to. We don't like ever making wrong choices, and that's called loss aversion in economic speak, which basically means that losses are increasingly problematic for us. We value losses much, they're much worse than what gains are, which is, completely irrational. Losing 10 Swedish kronor would be actually, we'd be trying to avoid that more than we'd be trying winning 10. Which, completely irrational. It's the same money, but our feeling says it's not. Now, have you ever been to an upscale restaurant? It's mostly upscale restaurants for some crazy, could be an Indian Thai restaurant that just had 5 items on the menu. I think I visited one, Indian Thai restaurant with 5 items on the menu. But I visited a lot of upscale restaurants, or some of them that had like 5 items on their menu. How easy is it to choose when you are presented with a fish dish, a chicken, and a beef, right? You don't have to think about, all right, do I want that spice, or do I want curry, or do I want red or green or medium, or, you just have 3 choices, which is really, really easy for you to choose from. So what we're doing there is realizing that we all hate making decisions, and really what we're doing and what we should be doing is helping users make decisions. And this is partly why we always see 3 packages. I'll share that very quickly. It's because you'll typically have the user go something like this, right? That small package, that's a bit, that doesn't have all the features that I want. But that really large package is just far more expensive. Right, so I'm going to sell it for the middle package. It's an easy decision, and what we do as humans is we compare. That's how we make decisions. That's always how we make decisions. We compare, right? Is that option better or worse? And we're going to end up choosing one of them based on the other options available. And that's a key insight, that we're always comparing. So what we need to do for our pages is, of course, make the users feel as good as possible about what we're offering. Because emotions also come into play here. If we feel good about something, we'll buy it. If we feel slightly averse to it, we won't buy it. It's really that simple, but getting there is hard. So in the context of a landing page, what does it need to do? So let's first define a landing page in this context, because you can actually talk about it in many different contexts. Today, I want to define it in the context of marketing, that a page that is specifically targeted, capturing and converting a user for a specific action. And this is fairly abstract because it's hard to actually find a good definition of this. But it basically means that, say we have a keyword, WordPress meetups that we want to capture, and then we have a page that, the end result is someone should sign up to this meetup. Easy. First thing it needs to do is the obvious bit. We need to explain what we're offering. Interestingly enough, this is overlooked on some landing pages, because we need to explain this in a way so that the solution that we're offering is matching our users' needs. To do that, we need to ask ourselves, what does the user want? To do that, we need to again ask ourselves, what does humans want when we make decisions? And it turns out we don't want lists of all the specs that a computer can do. We want to feel the experience of us using the equipment. Here we can take Apple as a perfect example. They've realized that experience is sell. If you go on apple.com, you go and view a laptop or an iPhone or an iPad, what do you see? You see them describing how you can easily edit photos, but not just edit photos, they're showing photos of families so that you can feel that, oh, my family photos are here. Even though they're much better photos than you can ever take, you also still believe that you can take those great shots. So you're going to feel that, oh, this is me sitting here doing that, they've understood me. Compare that to many other computer manufacturers, and you'll see a short description and a long table of features and technical specs. It's like, most people don't go for that, I can assure you. Most people go for the Apple way of describing things. This is just one example which I think we can all relate to, the way Apple presents their things. Notwithstanding, Apple also has the technical specs. If you click on technical specs, you will get them easily, nicely, cleanly presented, because they realize there exists some of us, we crazy people who actually care about the specs of my computer. Trust me, I'm one of them. But the vast majority of people don't. And yet, when we build websites, we're the technically inclined people who usually tends to think, and it also, if we present a product and we write marketing copy for it, we know that product inside and out. And we're really proud that it delivers 5 times performance over our competitors, or that it delivers some neat little twisty thing in the depth of our platform that we've managed to construct that we're really proud of, but that the user hardly won't notice. Sadly, suck it up, you don't get to present that feature, you just get to present what matters to the user, even though that hurts like hell inside of you. The other thing we need to do about landing pages is appeal to emotions. As I said, we make decisions by feeling good. So if we can appeal to our emotional states as human beings, we can actually do something that's really, really nice. And part of that is, again, make us feel happy, make us feel like we're the one doing what we're on the page to do. Make us happy, make us interested, appeal to those natural emotions, and we're home with the sell. And then, of course, we need to build trust. And this is, crucial, it's fundamental. If we don't build trust, as we've spoken to at length before, we don't have the sale. People want to feel, I'm in good company here. Other people have bought from this company, I trust them, I can't go wrong by choosing this. It's a safe choice. That's really all we're going for. And the fourth and final thing, which many people forget, and we see this particularly in small businesses as well, is closing the sale, asking for the sale. You can describe your features and product at length, but if we don't ask for the sale, so, I do this and we can offer that, and we have these things, it'll make your life easier. If I just stop there, how would you proceed as a customer? Maybe you would ask, all right, so how do we proceed? But why shouldn't you ask the salesman, so do you want to buy it? It's surprisingly how often we forget that specific phrase. And this is going to come down to just making it easy for a user to purchase whatever you're offering or contacting you. You're basically closing down the conversion. Make that easy. You need to do that. Otherwise, all the other work, you can just throw it in the bin. So, some quick elements, 8 elements and tricks to actually get the great landing page. First of all, headlines. Visitors are lazy. That's hardly news to anyone in here. Visitors are really lazy, and we tend to view a headline mostly to see that we are on the right page. Most people would get to your landing page through Google. They type in a query. This is where we need to match and make the user feel, all right, I've actually found something that's going to answer what I was looking for. That's what we're appealing to with a headline or a subheading. And that's really the crucial thing. Don't go overboard. Just make the user feel like, oh, I was looking for brown leather shoes. I found it. I can continue scrolling down. The other is page length. Should the page be long or should it be short? Most designers and developers over the years have probably heard the myth of the fold. It really needs to be said like that, the fold, dramatically. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as the fold. It comes from designers in the advertising age thinking about a paper design where it cuts below what's visible in an ad or whatever. The thing is, people scroll online. If you believe in the fold, don't be ashamed to admit it. If you do, you can at least go home tonight and don't have to worry about it again. People scroll. User research suggests that people scroll. There's no such thing as a fold. If someone asks you to put something above the fold of a website just because it needs to be visible right away, you can just tell them, sorry, it's all wrong. So for a page that requires little commitment, say a product that doesn't cost that much, where the risk of loss is fairly negligible for a user, we can go with a short landing page. Basically, we don't need much convincing as human beings to buy this product. On the other hand, a complex product or an expensive product, it needs to be described much more. We need to do much more in order to convince a person to actually buy this product. And it's going to take much more. And this is actually fairly intuitive when you think about it. Beautiful imagery is, of course, something that I think most people overlook. You go online, maybe grab a free stock photo, and you really end up with imagery that does not match the design. And this is one of these things, it's just, you feel it when you go to a website that has great imagery and really spend time on it compared to a site that hasn't. It's something you can feel, even though if you ask someone, they might not specifically be able to say, all right, the imagery is what's off, but they'll be able to tell you, something doesn't feel perfect. And it's usually that making the imagery beautiful is going to put you at that calm, nice, satisfying level for your visitors. Now, the value proposition, basically what's in it for me as a user, it also needs to be stated very clearly. Making it easy for users to see, all right, when I do this, I will get this, and here's how I proceed. Which is, again, it's intuitive and easy, but we need to remember it when we design our pages. Pet peeve of mine is testimonials, references. They should be real. And nothing speaks an untrue reference as if it says, I have enjoyed working with this lovely company, blah, 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 signed John. It's like, it's screaming out that someone just faked this in order to sort of make it into a testimonials page. Really do take things from people that are genuinely said. The best testimonials work when it is something that, if you and me were speaking today right here, you would say something about a company. That's the level of wording that we're aiming for in a testimonial, not a copywritten statement, because that feels untrue to us as humans. And of course, if we add a photo next to it, it's going to drive the conversion rate and the perceived genuity of testimonials right up through the roof. Because humans love faces. When we see a face, we really think that this guy's talking to us on the page. And it's a real human being. We need to trust him. Really, it sounds crazy that we're so easily fooled. But again, we are. And then, of course, videos. We have videos which also make for great conversion drivers, but only if they're professionally made. Professional video doesn't just show the product, but if you as a founder or you have your employees show up in a video, what you're saying is, this company exists. These people working for this company, they exist. We're actually real people here. And surprisingly enough, that is what's going to drive a lot of the conversion, that someone actually feels that there's a real company here. If you go into a store on any street, you can see that there's real people. You can see if something goes wrong, I can go here. I can tell them. There's someone that I can actually ask. On a website, people are always afraid that this is a scam, or that someone's going to vanish, that they can't contact them again. And I'd say that's pretty good fears. They're valid. But we need to overcome them. And videos, I think, is a great example and a great way to do that. But only if they're done well, professional, and actually instill trust rather than make it look a bit shady. And then again, as I said, powerful and appropriate call to actions. And they need to be everywhere. The right place for a call to action is not at the bottom of the page. It's not in the middle of the page. It's not in the top of the page. It's likely to be all three of them. Because we need to place a call to action when the user is ready to convert. And for that, it means it could be on any possible place on the page. The buyer who knows a lot about the product, they might find themselves ready to buy when they've read about the company, because that's the part that they don't know much about. But the person who knows my company really, really well, but is intrigued about this new product, they'll be willing to convert when they've read about the product. And you could draw an infinite amount of scenarios around this, but the fact is, we will decide to buy at different stages of our pages. So why not make it easy for people to do that? We want a button that says, buy this, wherever the user could possibly feel, without, again, making it seem like we're really nagging them. Buy this now, buy this now, buy this now. So you have to weigh it, but chances are the level where you want the buttons is more frequent than you think. But do make them the same call to action. Don't have, buy this variation here, then buy that variation there. Make them same and consistent, but make them frequent enough. And then finally, again, and I want to stress this, what we're doing is helping the users make the decision to purchase from you, and you specifically. We're trying to make users feel calm. We want them to avoid the risk. We don't want them to feel that it is risky to purchase. We want them to decide that, all right, purchasing this product or this service from this company online is the safest thing that I can do at this moment. It doesn't need to be that the product is the most perfect that ever existed on the market, but the combination of company and product means it's safe for me to do this. I feel safe in doing this. And throughout whatever we're making, the headline, the video, the testimonials, the product description, the experience-driven decisions, all we're doing is just helping the user, realizing, all right, when I have this product, that's what I'm getting, and this is how I'll feel when I do it. So we all said decision-making, it's not fun. We hate making decisions apart from one finger up. We hate making decisions. So why don't we help ourselves and our peers make decisions better? We'll see this in retail. We don't see it online as much, which is a shame. So that pretty much rounds it up. If you want to contact me, questions, whatever, you can mail me, visit me online. Googling me will result in me showing up. because my name's not that common. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, I'd be happy to connect. If you want more content, Bernskiöld Media has Academy, has Insights and has courses online. The Academy is free of charge, post weekly content on about this, these kind of things, business, marketing, development, digital. Insights is a monthly newsletter with something that should be practically relevant to your business, changing it. And courses will be coming soon, so I don't have much to talk about there. But again, visit please. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to.
What would you say is the most common mistake people do with their landing pages?
So what's the most common mistake? I would say partly it's not understanding that trust is such a big issue. And so in part it is either spending too much time on just the design, making it look fancy, or too little time on the design. And striking the balance is what's tricky. And I think the combination between design, content, assets such as images, and the actual decision-making process, realizing that we all go through a process, I think that's what's failing. So this is necessarily, to me, it's not one specific thing, but for different websites it's different things, but the holistic view that it should all tie together, that's, I think, the one crucial thing that I don't see enough in landing pages.
Are there any specific, maybe like Swedish companies or international companies that you look at as being like best practices, or those are sites to look at to influence developing a site?
But in terms of design, there are hundreds and hundreds, well, probably 100 startup sites that have money, at least they think, to spend on creating gorgeous websites that actually function really well. I would like to see more of bigger companies. That's always what I'm in lookout for, is big companies, bigger organizations doing some of this. Because it's easy to create a landing page for a startup. It's different to create this for an organization which has hundreds of different pages. And there I don't have any clear good examples. But otherwise, all of these best design website listings, they do show some really good examples. I would look at, there's a Swedish company, In Use, which just recently done In Use UX Awards. And I think they're good at what they do, and they've really focused on the usability and user experience of websites, and the results in that is something that I would definitely look at for some inspiration. All right, well, if that's the end of the questions, then thank you for listening. Thanks for having me, and I will turn it over to Stanislav.